Tonight, we will go deep into the realm of the unknown and question everything as we search for the truth. We will explore the possibility of countless phenomena within the ultra spectrum, and together we will learn that it is all connected. This podcast is brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association, and it is a live stream broadcast. If you have a question, send me a super chat or become a YouTube member. This podcast is brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. Take a seat, relax, get ready, and welcome to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. Today is Thursday, June 2nd, 2022, and I, Ryan Stacey, am your host this evening. I'm a licensed private investigator, citizen journalist, and the Director of Investigations for the Experiencers Support Association. I'm the former National Chief Investigator for MUFON Canada and the former International Field Investigator Trainer for MUFON in general. Welcome to the channel, and thank you for joining us this evening. To super chat, click the $sign next to your name in the comment box. Tonight's theme is, and I'm happy for this theme, is paranormal investigations and spirit communication. Why am I happy for this theme? Because ufology makes me angry and consciousness is confusing sometimes. So it's nice to have a little bit of paranormal. Cece, you're losing it back there. Awesome. So our guest for season 4, episode 18 is Sara Sophia. Sara Sophia is from Orillia, Ontario, Canada. She is a spiritual medium and paranormal investigator. She has been connecting with spirits since she was a child, but never opened it up about her experiences until later in life. She has been connecting with spirits since she was a child, but Sara can sense and feel spirit. Sometimes she can hear spirit. It was very emotional and tough when she opened her gifts more, as she was trying to push it away because of an underlying fear. Within her paranormal investigation, she likes to investigate different types of cemeteries as well as haunted locations. Sara recently did a paranormal investigation at the Orillia Opera House, which we'll talk about today. She used to perform at this location as a child and therefore found this investigation to be personally fascinating. During her investigations, she typically utilizes equipment such as a spirit box, her dowsing rods, and other sensor detectors. The way she connects with spirit comes with a lot of love, respect, and validation. Sara treats spirit the way she would treat a human being. The paranormal has been a huge part of her story for a very long time. Not only does she connect with spirit, but she also connects with her spirit guides and her angels. Sara is a very spiritual person to begin with, and she hopes to help others to find healing and to comfort to the best of her ability. You can find our guest on Facebook and TikTok. There are links in the description below. So Sara, put on your tinfoil hat. How are you? We're about to go down a rabbit hole. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. How was that? See, you're there. You're here.
Yes, I'm here.
Nothing to worry about. All right, Cece, you're still losing it. Funny over there. Okay, so we're going to start with the icebreaker question, which is provided by Cece as well. So let me just play her little jingle here. Where is that? 1 second. All right, so our icebreaker question to kick off the night is, what is the most destructive myth you've encountered in the paranormal field? Ooh.
That is actually a really good one. See, I'm not too sure yet. I'm up and down with the whole, I don't know if UFO has anything to do with the paranormal, which I'm sure it does, but I'm learning a lot about it. And I think that's one of my big conversations that I want to see if it's real or not, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So, have you ever had a UFO encounter at all?
No.
Okay.
So I recently just started doing research on the UFO, and Netflix has some awesome documentaries. So I've been doing some research on that and seeing, because we don't get a whole lot of encounters here in Canada. So it makes me question it a little bit, and I want to start
To piggyback off of that, what is a UFO described by you? What do you consider a UFO to be? What does it look like? What do you imagine it to be?
I imagine a flying saucer with lights.
Okay, so a machine, right?
Yeah. Okay,
so would you not consider a light in the sky like a paranormal orb?
100%.
Would that be like an unidentified flying object, if you will?
Yeah, absolutely. That's another thing I have actually thought of, like seeing flying stars or different types of lights. It does make me question it because it's something I do want to learn more about, but I haven't understood it enough yet because.
Well, welcome to Tessa. You're going to learn a lot about. You're going to learn a lot about that.
Yeah, so it's just something I've never understood or studied yet, but I'm very interested in it right now, and I think that's when it comes to paranormal and something I feel I need to learn and see a little bit more about to understand it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. So the word paranormal simply means not normal. So by definition, UFO is included in that. So it's all in the mix of that. Okay, yes. Good. All right. So I was actually going to say the paranormal orb. So that orb phenomenon is something that I have a hard time with that, understanding whether that's dust particles or spirit or UFO, or paranormal. So I'm kind of with you on that. Good question, CC. Thank you. All right. So the first question that I ask all our guests is, why are you the way that you are? And what I mean by that is, walk me through your life as early as you want to go to tell me how you fell into this and got here today. And then we'll see where that conversation goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was a child, probably the age of 2, 3, I have a really super awesome memory. Like I can remember a lot. And we lived in a very, very old home. And as a young child, it's hard to describe to a parent what you're seeing. So I was seeing, and I know this sounds super silly, but it was like a black shadow figure that was entering into my home. And I still have the image of it. And it was scary for me. I was very scared of the dark. It was very different because I haven't seen anything like that since. So that's probably the most spookiest thing I can encounter as a child. My parents took me for a drive probably a couple months after that, and we were driving past a cemetery, and it was actually recent. My mom told me this. She's like, you barely could even speak at the time. She goes, we're driving past the cemetery, and the first thing you do is you look out the window and go, angels, look at the angels. She's like, you were talking about all these angels and you had no idea that there were even angels or that was even a cemetery. So you kind of freaked me and your dad out at the time because you were too young to understand that. So she's like, you kind of like, as a child, developed these different things that you were saying, that you were seeing and hearing and experiencing, but they couldn't understand it because paranormal to them, it was new. Mm-hmm. So as I got older, we ended up moving into another home, and it was about 105 years old. And I was experiencing a lot of different feelings. So I was sensing spirit, but I didn't even know it was spirit at the time. That's nothing I even thought about. And there were times that I was seeing things from the corner of my eye, but it wasn't black shadow like. It actually looked like a person. So I was describing this to my family, the things that I was seeing. And then later on, things were progressing, and my aunt, she's a psychic medium, so she came in and said, I know exactly what she's saying because I saw the same thing. So that was really interesting. And so I went through a lot of that living in this house of different feelings and seeings. And my dad started picking up and seeing these things as well. and feeling them. So I think when I started to realize that there was something up, it was middle school. I realized that I was an empath. I was sensing people's emotions and feelings. And again, didn't think of spirit, had no idea. And I had a hard time making friends. And I went through a lot of mental health because of the things that was going on around me, because how do you tell your friends when they don't understand? So I was kind of a closed book and very shy, and I wasn't really open to discussing the things I was feeling. So later on in high school, again, same thing. I'm sensing and feeling some weird emotions and energies. Sitting in a class, I could feel that somebody was upset. I could feel the energy of somebody who was angry. So I was having a hard time focusing. I really couldn't focus. And then I started kind of learning more about the paranormal. So a friend of mine, who is still a very good friend of mine today, I started to explain these things to her and say, like, listen, I think I'm seeing something and I don't know what it is, but I think I'm kind of going crazy. So then we kind of started talking about the paranormal a little bit, and it sort of started to make sense. So after that, a little later on, I kind of just ignored it because I was scared of it. Like, of course, anybody would at that age. I ended up having my first child, and then things really started to heighten. My child was feeling and seeing spirits. So, like, you know, when a baby is giggling in a crib and like they're tossing and turning, like if you go down to like play with them or something, I was seeing my child kind of moving around, looking up at something. And I remember looking at my mom going, look at William right now. Like, he's giggling at something, something's happening. And she's like, that's a little weird. So we suspected, I probably should have brought this up before that it was a friend of mine. So I had a friend pass away when I was 17. He was 19 to a drowning.
Okay.
And we were very, very close. And a lot of paranormal stuff started happening after his passing. So that's when I was like, okay, there's something strange going on. So back to the old house. Sorry, I'm kind of flip-flopping.
It's okay. I'm just making notes as we go, because I will follow up with this too.
Yeah, no worries. So I was at my mom's. It was a few days after his passing. So he was in the in-between, and my dad was home. And again, my dad bonded with him very, very well. So he was able to kind of relate. So he ended up calling me that night, and I was very emotional. And he said, something weird is going on in the house. I don't know what it is. And my dad was total skeptic, like, of anything being paranormal at this time. Because this is the first time my dad's seen an orb with his own eye. He's like, there is this faded blue light going nuts around the house. He goes, I just turned off all the lights in the house and locked all the doors, and he didn't even know it was an orb. He's like, this light is just going nuts. And I said, Dad, that's super weird you say that, because I just seen it here at Mom's. Like, you need to describe what happened about all of this. He goes, well, I took a walk down the hallway and it's going all the way up the stairs. So I'm following it. And he's like, it was going nuts, like in your room. He goes, I had no idea what it was. So I figured it was your friend. And I called out to him and said, hey, she's at her mom's if that's you. And he said, by the time I got downstairs, I got stuck between a doorway. And he's like, I was like frozen. Like I couldn't move, like something was holding me down. and I couldn't really breathe. I was like, something's up. Like he started to panic. So again, that happened later on at night. When he ended up going to bed, he said it felt like something was on top of me. And again, he wasn't asleep. So we ended up talking about this blue light that we were seeing. And we ended up doing some research, and the research said it was an orb. So we said, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. So the following day, being at my mom's, kind of talking to her about it, you remember the old house phones, obviously. Like, we didn't have cell phones at this time, I don't think. It started going weird. It was like, this number cannot be connected. This number cannot be connected. And it just kept going and going and going. And my mom's like, I think he's trying to connect with us. And I said, okay, let's just see if this works. And so I said, like, if you're here, can you turn off the fan that's over here in the room? Instantly turned off. So I'm like, okay, can you turn it back on? So it turned back on. And by that time, me and my mom booked it, because we're like, that's kind of freaking us out. And then the phone was acting weird again. So I started to kind of learn more about the paranormal after that, realizing that my friend was in the in-between and he was trying to reach me. So about 2 or 3 days later, I'm at my friend's, and she was really close to him as well. So we were able to comfort each other. And I fell asleep, and all I remember is waking up out of this sleep, but I'm feeling I guess I would say my soul or my spirit kind of lifting up. And then I'm seeing him. And it's like white light, like the brightest light I have ever seen. And I had no idea what the white light was about at that time as well. And I was able to see him, and he was able to apologize for what had happened and said, this was an accident. It was not my time. So he ended up drowning to protect a friend who was drowning. So he saved his best friend's life. And it was at the Black River, and it was an undertow that took him.
Wow.
So he said it was accidental. Later on, I was able to talk to my aunt, and she's like, you know, what he's showing me is he hit his head, and that's why he couldn't come up. So it took probably a good 8 hours to find him. And so after seeing him, I just remember jolting, and I felt it's like a smack into the body, and then I flew off the bed, and then I called my mom, and I'm like, I don't know what just happened, but I think I just left my body. So that never happened again. I don't know if that's what happened. That's what I assume that happened. But it was an amazing experience at the time. And I was able to find some comfort in that, which was nice. Do you want me to keep going, or?
Of course. If you have, yeah.
All right. I just want to make sure we have time with everything I'm talking about.
Yeah, we're all good. Don't worry. I'm writing down my thoughts, and then if there's time, I'll ask questions. If not, then.
And don't mind me if I look hesitant, everyone, because I don't talk about this stuff all the time, so I'm trying to refresh it in my memory. So I ended up moving into a 3-plex with my partner and our first son. And we were having some encounters, some paranormal encounters, and we weren't the only ones that were going through it. So I was feeling the end of my bed being pressed down, and it was like, why are my feet being pressed down in the bed? Like, I'm frozen shut there, like scared, feeling spirit, I guess you would say. And my son's toys would end up being scattered across the floor. So there was one night in this 3-plex at the time, we were in the basement. So it was small. The bathroom was in the bedroom. and we had to make do, of course. So my son had this Mickey Mouse Clubhouse toy. So that was like the thing 11 years ago. And I cleaned everything up, put everything aside, and we got woken up through the night with this toy being played with. So a bunch of music going off. There was an elevator thing, so it was super loud. And I woke up and I flicked on the lights and I looked at my partner and I'm like, do you hear that? He goes, yeah, that's actually kind of weird. So all the toys ended up being scattered all over the floor. And I was like freaked right out because I'm like, what in the actual hell is going on? Because I just cleaned those up. So we had a lot of paranormal encounters there where dishes were being moved and toys were being scattered. Again, the end of the bed was
this is a different location than that old house?
Yeah, so that was my childhood home. This is when I first started kind of moving out on my own.
Okay.
So yeah, I was having some issues with that, so that kind of spooked me out. And I had some family members that came in that would sleep over and started feeling some weird encounters as well, and other people that were living in the building. So we'd all get together and kind of talk about it and be like, you know, this is kind of weird. What's going on? And so that was great. So how my spirituality and my paranormal stuff kind of began was there. It started probably the last 3 months before I ended up moving from there. I started hearing voices. So I literally thought I was crazy and wouldn't tell anybody because I'm like, I think I'm going nuts now. And I'm sure some of you have probably had the same experience where you felt you heard your name being called. So I get woken up, or before I fall asleep or doing the dishes, I would hear Sarah, like in a child's voice, in a woman's voice, in a male's voice. And I could literally replay the voice in my head for a good 5 minutes to try to figure out who that was. And sometimes I would hear, one time I heard my mother-in-law's voice, and it was like yelling at me, and she wasn't even there. And I got up and I'm like, what's going on? So that started to happen a lot, where I was hearing the voices and I thought I was totally insane. So that was not fun when you're jumping 10 feet in the air. Yeah, so then when I moved into the place that I am now, I've been here for quite a while, I started feeling other things happen. I was still hearing the voices, but not as much, because I've learned to block it out and say, no, like, you're startling me. I ask that you please stop. That seemed to work. So I started seeing, and when I say seeing spirit, it's not like seeing a human or a black shadow. I started seeing like this weird mist kind of form, like it was in a human shape. And I'd start rubbing my eyes and being like, what is that? Right? It was kind of clouded. So that's when I started purchasing my dowsing rods, because I was like, I want to see what the hell's going on, because why is this chasing me? And I kept saying, I don't want any part of it. Like, you're kind of spooking me out. So then I started to realize, okay, here we go again. Like, this isn't going to stop. And I kept saying no. So when I kind of realized that I was a medium was when I had a vision of my grandfather not doing very good. And then I started seeing my grandma not doing good. So I was kind of like, why am I seeing this? Like, I'm seeing it clear as day. And I looked at my partner and I started to cry. And I said, you know, I'm having a vision. And it's like it feels so real. So I explained what happened. A week later, my grandfather had a massive heart attack. And he was having multiple before that. And I was seeing this. So my partner, being a huge skeptic, not believing in mediums or the paranormal, was a little freaked out that I totally called that a week ago. So I was like, you know what? Like, okay, my grandfather just had a heart attack. I seen it. We were dealing with a lot of family stuff. So we had to go say our goodbyes to my grandfather. And I came home after doing that, and I was really, really ticked off. Like, I was like, okay, I am so ready now. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid anymore. Like, challenge me. Came in my room, I turned off the lights, and I prayed hard. And I prayed to my great-grandmother, my great-grandfather, my grandfather's parents. And I said, like, listen, there's something also wrong with my grandmother. I don't know what it is yet, but she needs him right now. I said she was there for everybody else. She needs him. And 60 years married, the love was like a king and queen. So I prayed and said, I need a sign. Ask God for one more chance. Do it for me, and I'll open my gift. I will take it on, whatever it takes. So the next day, my grandfather had to go into heart surgery. And they said, he's not going to make it out. There's no way. So that's why we had to say our goodbyes. And he was prepared. We get a phone call. He made it through. It's a miracle.
Oh, wow.
He should not be alive right now. Yeah. So a week later, kind of waking up from the surgery coma, they bring him a roast beef sandwich. And he goes, oh my God, I haven't had one of these since my mom made it for me. And my dad goes, well, I have a prayer to tell you about. And he looked up and he said, thanks, Mom. I knew it was you. And I said, okay, I'm ready. Turns out a week later, we found out my grandmother had Lewy body dementia. So that is what, what's his name? Robin Williams. That's what Robin Williams had, the same thing. So she was losing her memory. And my grandfather was able to be there for her. He recovered very quickly from this heart surgery. And he was able to help her along because you only get about 6 years to live with Lewy body dementia. You don't have very long. So he was able to be there for his wife, even for her passing. And he's still here today, which is great. And after that, I just started practicing readings and channeling and opening up. And I don't call myself a psychic. I just call myself a spiritual medium, a practicing spiritual medium, because I'm still learning about my gift. I still do readings, and I only connect with spirit when spirit wants to connect with me. I can't just call spirit forward. I'm still learning about my spirituality that way. So then I opened up a Facebook page called Spiritual Growth on Facebook, and it has been doing super amazing. I'm so happy. We're teaching how to love yourself, self-love, mediumship, connecting with spirit, connecting with yourself, healing from trauma. And my aunt is an admin on that page as well. So she's been helping me out a lot with all of that and showing a bit of her abilities. And it's really done super well. I'm really happy with that. So what's that?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so I started learning more about my spirit guides. Not sure if you're familiar with spirit guides, but they are with us from the time we were born to the time we die. They basically, it's like before we come to Earth, we have a blueprint that's mapped out of the life we chose and how we want to learn our lessons in this lifetime so we can fulfill our soul's purpose. I guess that's the best way I could say it. So I started connecting with my guides, and I talked to them, I prayed to them, and asked them for reinsurance and signs. So I'll get the signs like 1111, 444, 222, angel numbers. So a couple years ago, I was struggling with mental health, and I was going through quite a lot of things that I needed to see for myself in my life. Just, you know, I'm a mom of 2 boys, and we struggle as moms and with work, and, you know, life's just not hard, or life is hard sometimes. So I was praying out that I needed a sign from my guides. I said, I need you to show me 100%. Like, I need to see it. Like, please show me that prayer is as powerful as it is. So a couple days later, I go into work, and we were cleaning this huge cottage. And as we finished up, we pull out of this driveway, and it was a long dirt road, and nobody was around. There was only one house on the road. It was way out in the boonies. And we come to a little stop, and this elderly man knocks on my window, and he says, can you roll down your window for a moment? And I said, yeah, okay. So I roll down the window, and I said, can I help you, sir? He goes, yes. He goes, do you know what's behind my back? And I said, no, but I'm picturing like the number 100. He goes, how did you know that? I'm like, I don't know. I just kind of guessed. And he pulls out a piece of paper from behind his back, and it said in red pen, 100%. He goes, you asked for 100%, and you were asked to be shown. So I'm showing that you deserve to have 100%. And I was like, what the hell just happened, right?
And like, no connection with this person before that?
No, I've never seen him in my life.
That's strange. That's odd.
And my friend is sitting beside me, and she's very spiritual as well.
Yeah.
And she's like, what was that all about? And I said, Candace, I don't think you understand, like, as we're driving. And I explained my prayer, and I said, I wanted to be shown 100%. And that man, I don't even know him, just showed me on a piece of paper 100% and told me I was asked to be shown. I said, I don't know if that was my guide or if that was an angel, but I'm going to take it for the rest of my life and say that was the greatest sign I've ever experienced. Well, she just bawled, like cried the whole way home.
It's strange that he used the words 100%. Like, it's like he was told through whatever connection he had to say those things when he met you. So that is like a weird dual synchronicity there. Yeah,
because I didn't tell anybody about my prayer. Yeah. And
prayers are supposed to be sacred and private, right?
That's right. And as we learn through spirituality, if we're told, if you ask for something, sometimes you will be shown through signs. Just pay attention to the signs. And that was like probably one of the best stories I could ever tell somebody, because I just remember going home and calling my mom and explaining what had happened, and just so lots of words. So then I started to really believe that prayer is super powerful, and I need to start praying more, clearly. So that was just, that was incredible, life-changing.
So there's a lot of belief there. So I've been keeping notes along the way too, because your path is very, very familiar and very interesting and intriguing, in the sense, like, it started with the shadow figure, right? When we started with this whole, you're exploring UFO and you're trying to learn about all that. If you focus on the shadow figure and accept the possibility that might be extraterrestrial, right? It's the same thing, right? This is just it's a label to interpret the same thing. This paranormal and UFO thing is just a category, but there's a lot of parallels, right? I'm seeing, the psychic ability that's going through. You have the ability for, well, there's poltergeist activity, which was usually before and after some traumatic events. So have you ever considered the possibility that there are no ghosts, and then perhaps your psychic ability was enhanced since you were going through the death of your friend there, and you had more emotions at that time? Perhaps this was you expelling, so there's those possibilities on that, other things too. Then you have this mediumship slash manifestation, if you will. You pray for it, and then all of a sudden you're manifesting this stuff. But what's interesting about this whole timeline is, within my study and my research, I've been trying to index how this starts and why people are the way that they are. Is I believe it starts with UFO or extraterrestrial contact. Yep. So if the shadow figure wasn't actually paranormal but ET instead, that fits the timeline that you share with many other experiencers.
Right.
There's a lot of people in the chat that could resonate with this, and I'm just
and I'm still kind of learning about
right. So now
some stuff. Yeah.
You believe. What I'm saying is you believe a lot. So how did that get turned into investigations?
Okay.
Because you have to not believe or debunk or be skeptic, because there's a lot of faith and a lot of belief your whole life. But how did you turn that around and be like, I don't believe some of this?
100%. So with the paranormal stuff, so I was doing really good with spiritual growth, and I thought, you know what, like, I love watching ghost hunters. I thought, I'm in kindred spirits and stuff like that. All that kind of stuff. And it makes me wonder, and, you think you want to debunk things as well. Like, when we go on our investigations, we always make sure that we are debunking things. We're going back to things. We're really studying it, which is huge in paranormal, which, should be done. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to make a paranormal page, because I've had some paranormal encounters with, the fan being turned on and off, with the phone kind of moving. And I was connecting I use my dowsing rods a lot, which I like. And it doesn't matter if it's spirit or not, if it's high, higher, what's the word? It could be my subconscious, whatever, but I really enjoy them. So I thought, I'm going to take this to a next level, and I really want to do paranormal investigations and kind of see if I am connecting with spirit, because here I'm connecting with spirit, but I'm doing it in a whole angelic field, because I would rather do things in an angelic thing. And that's what I do with my paranormal investigations. I don't like to be called a ghost hunter. I've been called that. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I like to feel out energy. You can't destroy energy. Energy just is. We are all energy. And these places and cemeteries have lots of energy. So I decided to create a page, and thought, okay, what am I going to call it? First name that comes up, Keeping Up with Spirits. I'm like, yeah, you know what? We are trying to keep up with spirits, of course, I'm going to try that out. And then I started doing some research and on some tools on, I've recently just started becoming good friends with Anthony Sanchez. I don't know if you know him. He's a big paranormal investigator in California. He's also wrote books about UFOs and aliens, and he's good friends with Steve Huff, and I'm a fan of Steve Huff. So I thought, I really do want to connect with spirit, but not just through mediumship. I want to show people the proof and the science, because I'm all about science. I want to show them. So I created the page, and it's been doing super great. And I thought it's time to start doing some investigations and see what comes about it. So I guess my first big paranormal investigation was the Orillia Opera House. And that was honestly incredible. We ended up doing a draw on Keeping Up with Spirits with some members, and they were able to enter and win to come on the investigation. So it was great for them because the investigation of the Opera House hit home for them. So I ended up bringing my aunt to take half of the crew, and I took half of the crew. And we actually came with quite some interesting tools. We brought the S box spirit box, which was great. And we brought these little tools right here. So literally you have to touch them. Like you can jump up and down on a ground and they cannot go off. So we put these on the tables out where all the chairs were.
You get those from Ghost Stop?
I got all my equipment.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know where you got that. That's good.
Yeah. But these I got from Amazon for like $10. I got 3. They're actually cat toy balls.
Okay.
And they work incredible. So we ended up laying them out on the table, and we had other censored motion detectors as well. So when you walk by it, they beep. So we were up on the stage and we would say, Spirit, can you light up the ball? Can you walk past the motion detector? And we got a lot of activity, and Spirit was yelling out on the spirit box, playing with the ball. Lights, I like it. So we were like, okay, we're getting somewhere here. So my aunt ended up taking a crew down to the basement just to do mediumship, but she also took my PSB-11. And for the life of me, I'm still trying to figure this one out. So, yeah, so this is a spirit box. Spirit can manipulate the audio frequencies.
Those are noisy things.
Yeah, and now they've just come out with something at Ghost Stop where you can plug into and it takes the fuzziness away, and then you can just hear the voices. So that's my next purchase. So she ended up taking it down to the basement of the Opera House, and there's an old jail cell down there that they used way back in the day. So they went down, and all of a sudden there was a different language coming through the spirit box, and there was a conversation. And she's a huge debunker. Like, she will tell you, like, no, it's probably radio. But she was like, there were definitely a conversation happening down here in the Opera House. And so the members that were with her could hear it, and they were like, yeah, you know what? That's kind of freaky. So my aunt ended up doing some mediumship and connecting, and she came across a lady in red, and was able to discuss more about her on what she was seeing. And when we were up on the stage, we had a male presence that was lingering with us. And I think he was an old janitor that I was sensing and feeling. And he was connecting with us quite well. So there were times even on the spirit box, we'd be like, can you make yourself known? And then Spirit would go, boo. And then we would start to laugh because he was trying to be comical with us. But if you guys want to see any more videos, you guys can check it out on TikTok and my Facebook account as well. Like, there's some videos that are up on there.
Yeah, and we do have those links in the description below for you guys on YouTube. Check that out there.
Yeah, so the Orillia Opera House was awesome. I found it to be great. Up in the project room, they were having some encounters up there, and it was pretty interesting. I think there's some videos.
What were you guys? What were you guys testing with this laser grid here? What was that all about?
Okay, so this is it right here. This is the laser grid. So it's like that small, and it can literally do the whole.
The star array, right?
Yeah. So it detects shadows. we debunked the hell out of, because we had cameras everywhere through the Opera House. So we didn't get any shadows that were coming through, unfortunately, through this. But it was really cool to add to the investigation, I thought.
So when you said you debunked this, are there no ghosts in the Opera House? Like, is the whole house?
I feel there definitely is, because the trigger items were going off. So if we said, so basically you see like the little alleyway there.
Mm-hmm.
You can see like something on the side between the chairs. So there were trigger items there. So if you and I were to walk by them, they would beep.
Okay.
So nobody would be there, and we'd be like, can you walk by those? And they would instantly start going off. And the little cat balls as well were going off like crazy. So we thought that was pretty cool. Not that we don't know if there's ghosts in the Opera House, but we definitely felt there were a couple spirits that were present. And we did open the white light doorway if there was a spirit that felt stuck and wanted to go home. I think it was just such a really neat experience, because it's so historical, and it was just really neat to kind of wander around the Opera House. We do want to go back and do it again, and do it a little different, I think.
You should always, retest your stuff if you can, because especially when you're reviewing the video data.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a question from our member. Stacey says, when the cat balls went off, did the grid go off too?
The grid did not go off that we could see. All we know is when we said, can you touch the ball, it would instantly go off. If I have them here in my house and I set them around, they will not, for the life of me, go off whatsoever. So we thought that was cool. But we did look for shadows. At one point in the basement, we thought we seen kind of like a black shadow, but we kind of debunked it and felt there was somebody actually walking behind. So we were being very careful. But with this spirit box and the light up balls, I mean, we got quite a bit of validation.
It's hard. It's really hard to like cover every single angle to make sure like everything's covered. I can appreciate that, being an investigator myself, in terms of like, I always think, okay, what else could it be, or who else was that? Of course, it was a noise, it was a shadow, it was a wind drift, all these other things. So you have to think about it, because these are all things that the skeptic person is going to use to tell us that it's garbage. And so you want to kind of come up with these plans and these strategies to rule out the debunkers, so that way we're kind of left with both saying, I don't know what it is. So having multiple cameras to cover all the angles, multiple sensors at the same time, that's really good strategy. That's really good technique. And if the sensors are going off, but were the sensors going off and was there a shadow being cast at the same time in the grid, or were just the sensors going off?
See, that's what we were looking for. And we probably still have to do some more work on looking.
Did you have video though? Did you have cameras running?
Yeah, we did. We had one good camera there in the project room and throughout. We did kind of spot some movement in the projection room that we kept debunking to see why there's such a shift in movement. So we still want to kind of go back and kind of debunk some of that.
And everybody was accounted for and behind you and all that stuff on the...
Yeah, so we'd be jumping up and down on the stage. We would be running across, making sure. And as a paranormal investigator and a medium, you have to be skeptic for things. Mm-hmm. Like, I still get skeptic of things all the time and have to re-question things.
It's tough because, like, on you're using the right machines, you're doing the right scientific method in terms to determine that something is there.
Yeah.
So it's just could very well be a normal thing just as well as a paranormal thing, and then this is where belief kind of gets in the way. So it's very good that although you have this belief, you're not willing to just accept that as being the obvious until you get other layers that contribute to that.
Yeah.
So, and things like that too.
Like that night too, I was exhausted, so I had a hard time.
That's the energy drain, though, too, right? Feeling because you're absorbing.
Yeah, we went at nighttime, and I was on TikTok Live.
Okay.
And I was on Facebook Live, and then I had members. So I was so scatterbrained, and then here I'm yelling out, talking to spirits talking back. And then, you know, we're saying, like, can you light this? Can you light that? And then going back, because, you know, a lot of people would like to see the inside of the Opera House. So I was having all these lives, and I was so drained that I was like, I want to go back and do it differently. You know, I would like to do an overnight and do kind of like the witching hour, maybe stay down in the cell. You know, I would like to take it to a next level and set some cameras up. So that is definitely in the works. But we also did, this wasn't my investigation. So there was another paranormal investigator. His name's Troy. He came to the Opera House. So he ended up bringing some stuff along with me. And so he afterwards said, listen, I have an investigation at the Bracebridge Library. Do you want to come? Yeah, I do. So my aunt said, yeah, I'm going to come too. So we thought, let's go check it out. That place was definitely gave us some vibes. Like, it was a whole different level from the Opera House. We actually had quite the interactions that came in. So there was a church. There's a church right next door to the library. And we ended up sitting down with two of the ladies that worked at the library. And they wanted to stay for the investigation. So we're like, sure. And they were very skeptic because they weren't sure what paranormal investigations were like. So we ended up sitting down and talking about the library and things that, you know, were occurring and things that were happening. So throughout the night on the spirit box, we kept hearing, "You're Satan." And then we're like, okay, if you want to think that, that's okay. You know, like, we're not actually. We're here to help you if you want some help. So they kept calling us all these different names. And I kept saying, you know, Spirit, what is your name? Can you give me some validation? And Adam kept coming through. Well, the ladies that worked there said, a medium that came through here a long time ago said that the spirit's name was Adam, that she was sensing. So I'm like, okay. So then I started to think, I went kind of kindred spirit style. I'm like, have we created a spirit now with the name Adam? Are we, you know, you can do that. If you give spirit a title, they'll go along with it. So I was kind of debunking spirit a little bit. So we ended up doing, putting the headphones on where you can't hear anything but the spirit box itself. So we ended up pulling out the SB or the S box and the SB7 at one point, and came up with questions to ask spirit. And the person wearing the headphones can't hear anything but what's coming through the box. So we ended up getting told off multiple times, got called Satan again.
Did you have the cycle forwards or backwards?
I think it was forwards. I don't really know, but I would.
So well, the reason I'm asking is because most time when it's going forward, if you're picking up radio frequencies from other radio stations, you will hear words because it's other frequencies, other stations talking normal. So if you put that backward setting on, it'll eliminate the possibility of you getting a true word. Some words sound the same backwards. It's still possible, but that'll kind of make it a little bit easier for you to be like, okay, well, it's on backwards, and that was a full sentence that we clearly understood, and that'll reinforce that evidence there.
See, that makes so much sense because Troy, who this was his investigation, knows how to use the S box a little bit more than me. And I have that problem where I'm bringing in a lot of the radio frequencies. And then I'm like, oh my God, I can't get the hang of these, like I have to do
I don't
research.
like they're noisy, they're annoying. I prefer not to use them. I don't like them, but
they're very difficult. So I think he must have had it on backwards because it worked perfectly with the words and there was no radio. But we ended up having the laser grid on behind Troy. So there is a video. Okay. There might be video on TikTok or Facebook. If not, I'm going to post it anyway. And my aunt was sitting next to me and she's doing all the talking and he's kind of talking out what he's hearing. So we ended up having the laser grid on and there was a shadow that manipulated it. And our friend Brandon was sitting on the floor next to us and he's pointing like, look, and it's kind of went a little weird. So that was like the first time for the laser grid for me to see it kind of act weird. But then we realized after everything that was coming through that there was a church next door and they thought we were sinning. So we ended up just white lighting and we just left on good terms. We do want to go back again and do a little differently. But that was a really cool investigation and I wasn't drained with this one. It just felt
it's interesting. I've investigated the Orillia Opera House myself. I've been to the Gravenhurst one as well.
Okay.
I feel that the Gravenhurst one has more energy than the Orillia one. When I was there a few times, I didn't really get that paranormal vibe. But then again, not as like in comparison to the Gravenhurst one. But what's interesting though is that the Gravenhurst Opera House was the first one to claim that they were haunted. Wow. And then later on, the Orillia Opera House adopted that idea. And then this story started to happen at the Orillia Opera House. So I'm not a medium. I'm not a skeptic. Like I don't feel spirits, so I can't say that the spirits aren't there. But as an investigator, it makes sense to me that the story may have been adopted from there. So they're piggybacking off of that, which is nothing wrong with that in terms of a business and things like that too. But I did feel things in the Gravenhurst one. So that's where I'm also starting to believe it to be true. But when I felt nothing at the Opera House in Orillia, so going back to Orillia would be something I'd be interested in doing as well to see if things have changed. So
absolutely. And let me know if you come down and you want to meet up and go. Like I think.
Yeah, you never know. Follow us and you see that we're in the area and things like that too. We're not that far away. I'm up in Penetang, so not that.
You're not very far at all.
No. So me and my wife can come out and maybe we
meet
up. So all right, we're gonna pause right now and head over to commercial break. Okay.
Sounds great.
We'll continue after a message from our sponsors. You are listening to. Sorry, if you're only listening to the audio only version, head over to youtube.com/the Experiencer Support Association so you see the video that goes with this audio. Remember, you are listening to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, a podcast by the Experiencer Support Association, and we will be right back.
It's your business. It's your property. Your assets are worth protecting. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services specializes in patrolling and inspecting residential or commercial property against fire, theft, vandalism, terrorism, and illegal activity. People and buildings are monitored to prevent crime. Keep your property, your people, and your assets safe from threat. Our elite staff are dual licensed private investigators and security guards. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services. Go to blacklightiss.com.
The same thing that draws aliens to our planet is the same thing that draws us to others. Exploration, curiosity, sustainability of life. That's why we go. It would make sense as to why they're visiting here.
Travis! Quit playing around, man. Get back here. Travis!
The last thing I remember was this numbing shock. Stunning sort of a feeling. Very powerful.
Get away from me!
I was just out of my mind with fear, just screaming the whole time. It's
been theorized that aliens prefer remote areas because they don't want to attract attention. Whatever it is that they're doing, they would want to do that in a less populated area. There are multiple accounts of the same thing from people from all over the world. People that do not know each other, do not live in the same cultures, and they're all looking up, they're all seeing things in the sky. So it would be naive of us to think that we're
Ryan is one of Canada's leading new UFO investigators. He conducts and oversees UFO investigations on a constant basis and was really taken by his research. He's compiled a tremendous amount of data regarding UFOs in Canada. And just as interesting, he really goes over how UFO investigations are done and what are some of the mistakes that people make when they submit evidence. Note for starters, don't edit your videos or photos before you send them. If you want to hear more follow-up conversation between Ryan and myself, you can go to richardolanmembers.com, where we have a candid conversation on ufology, the paranormal, and more. And remember, while we learn and grow and search for the truth, let's be good to each other.
Welcome to the Observation Deck, a state-of-the-art, one-of-a-kind virtual platform that takes video conferencing to the next level by using avatars to navigate a campus, just like you would in real life. First, you install the application and design your very own unique avatar. Then you're free to explore the various areas of the campus at any time from anywhere. There's so many areas and activities to choose from on the platform. There's a 1,000-seat auditorium, a large expo hall, a movie theater, a nightclub, an art gallery, and even a beach. Come attend a conference or take a class or hear a lecture. Meet new friends and interact directly with presenters. It's all right here on the incredible Observation Deck campus. Where in the world will you go?
Have you ever wondered, or maybe just thought to yourself, if there were others just like you? You know, people with extraordinary abilities, psychogenic advancement, and perhaps unique intuitions. Maybe you just wondered if there were other people who experienced unimaginable, unexplained, or even unusual and paranormal events. Are there people who have more questions, more fears than answers? Well, you're not alone. You've never been alone. We believe you. Sign up for EA today by going to tesacan.org/EA. That's TESACAN.org/EA.
Welcome back. You are listening to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. Have you ever experienced an unexplained event involving the paranormal, UFOs, extraterrestrials, Dogman, or any other paracryptid? Head over to our website, www.tesacan.org, and submit a report. Let the others who have already reported be that example that proves we are making a difference. And if it wasn't for these reports, we would not be able to do what we do. And for that, we thank you. So I'm still here with Sara Sophia. How you doing?
Good.
First hour down. You're good to go for another hour?
We'll certainly try.
All right. No, you're doing good. You're doing good. So not bad for your first time. So we're keeping it going. So you're doing fine. I have a question. Well, I kind of want to stay in the investigation, but then I want to go back, but I don't know where we're going to go. But maybe Okay. So when you mentioned your history with paranormal, you mentioned your aunt several times, that she has the ability as well, and your mother has sensed things, correct?
My dad. Your
dad. Okay, so another parent. And the aunt, is the aunt related to dad or aunt related to mom?
So my aunt is related to my mom, It's my mom's aunt. She's always been very spiritual and
Okay. Is
very
your mom
involved.
spiritual at all? Does your mom have any of these abilities?
No, but she's learning. She's adapting to it and seeing and understanding it a little bit more.
And then grandfather connected to grandmother. What side of the tree is that on?
My dad. So
So there might be some sort of lineage on your dad's side that paranormal spectrum is carrying through.
Well, that's what we wonder. We talk about it. My grandma, she passed in 2019 at 75. So she just turned 75 and then passed. She was head of the prayer group at the Orillia Guardian Angels Church. And growing up, my grandma was one of my biggest supporters. She would talk about a lot about God and the faith. And, I'm a Roman Catholic, so my grandma kept it with her grandkids and explained a lot, and my grandma would sense and say things like, oh, the Lord is speaking to me and saying this. So she was like a messenger, I guess, in that way. But I always say to my dad, maybe she was connecting with maybe her angels or her guides or spirit, she was very in tune with the other side, but with her faith, which was great because I learned a lot about my faith. And that's what kept me so positive through life and wanting to connect with the angelic. And my grandfather, after my grandma passed, he started saying some things like he's having outside of body experiences where he's talking to the other side or speaking with my grandma. My grandfather never used to talk like that ever. And he died 3 or 4 times with heart attacks. So it's really cool to hear him kind of talk about it because it's right up my alley. Like, I like hearing about that stuff because, you want the proof. You want to know that there is something that is there. So
has he? So we would call those near-death experiences, I suppose. Like, has he ever explained to you what he sees when? During those times.
Just after my grandmother passed, it was that night. I got on the phone with him, and he's like, I seen where she was going. They told me how it was going to happen and where she was. He's like, I was literally sitting at this huge long table and it almost looked like they were saints on the other side, but they were so angelic. They were so powerful that, I felt so small of this ball of light and they were like this big beam of light. And I thought, that's how I kind of feel when I see it or listen to other people's experiences, like on YouTube or whatever. So it's really fascinating to have that connection with my grandfather and be able to talk about this stuff.
And, it's interesting for the time frame because I had a grandmother that I didn't really learn that she was psychically in tune until she passed. So and then talking to other people and things like that, and it kind of made sense with the way that she did things. But for the time period, it wasn't something that she liked to talk about, which is why many of us didn't know. So considering how far back that goes, for them to be so open in that time period or that generation, I find interesting.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. That is really cool.
Yeah. So. All right, so that's a little bit more about why you were the way that you are. Genetics, it's possible. Do you think that's possible? That somewhere down the line, maybe in the bloodline, there was like a alien or paranormal contact of some sort, and then that was just transferred on through you, and then through your grandfather to your father, then to you, and then to your children, because your children are having, right?
100%. When I came to realize that I was a medium, I didn't know the term medium. I had to do some research on why am I why am I channeling somebody I don't know and bringing their loved ones through? Why am I getting all this stuff right? You know, I would just be at a dinner party and be like, it just come out of nowhere. And she'd be like, oh my God, you're freaking me out. Or that kind of just happened. So I started to do my research and started going to crystal fairs and psychic fairs and just kind of looking around, seeing, you know, what the possibilities were, because I was skeptic of myself 110%. Like, I would reach out to my aunt and be like, what is going on with me? I used to reach out to my grandmother as a child, and I remember her sitting me down and just praying over me, because it was like she knew I was channeling whatever she thought I was channeling. But at that time, I had no idea what she was doing. Yeah, with my readings, I've had some really awesome ones. You know, sometimes a reading may last 10 minutes. Another time might last an hour and a half. It all depends on spirit. And yeah, it's awesome. I did a reading about a month ago. I actually had COVID a month ago, or a month a bit ago. And all of a sudden I'm channeling spirit for one of my sister's friends. And I'm like, I don't even know why I'm channeling. Like, I'm sick as a dog. So I called up my sister and I'm like, what's your friend's name again? You know? And she's like, oh, so-and-so. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, do you think she'd mind if I message her? Cause I have her grandmother here. Like, it's just weird how it works that way. She goes, yeah. So I end up messaging her and I'm like doing a reading and channeling her grandmother. And then all of a sudden I'm like, your grandmother is hysterically laughing about the name Barb. I said, but it doesn't even feel like a human to me. I'm like, what is with Barb? And she literally just cracked out laughing and said, I named my car Barb. Is my car okay? And I'm like, I think your car's okay, but they think it's hilarious that you named your car Barb. So Spirit was being very comical and had other messages to deliver. And yeah, it was nice for her because she never had that a reading before. So it was new to her, and she's like, I'm a total believer. This is great.
It's interesting how it works. I try to always visualize and imagine what it's like to be on the other side, and then all of a sudden be like, hey, there's someone I could talk to. You know, like if you're in like on this side, if you walk into an empty building or a building full of people, you don't know where to go, you look for the information desk. So you go to the information desk, you talk to them, and then you get the information, you go where you got to go. But on the other side, maybe, like, what does that look like? What do you think that would look like for them to find you? Like these specks of light, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, you know.
Yeah.
Like how do you think that works?
Yeah, I feel, and this is what I tell people, if this makes any sense. I can't connect without the white light. I protect myself with the white light bubble and make sure that I'm connecting angelically. I like to use that term because I want to make sure that when I'm connecting with people's loved ones that they're satisfied. And I make sure that, you know, I'm picturing the white light head to toe, and that spirit is in the light as well. So yeah, I do picture light beings when I connect with them. And you know, when you...
Sorry, go ahead.
You know when you get the shakes, like from being super hungry?
Yeah.
And it's irritating. That's how I get sometimes if I have to deliver a message.
Okay.
It's the way I describe it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can relate to that. Okay. So you talk really highly about angelic beings, and you talk really highly about positive and the light, and that's all good mindset. That's like, if you have the choice between good and bad, you know, it's good that you're choosing to think positive. But like, do you always have a choice? Does it ever come to you negative and then you flip it and you want it to be positive, or do you ever get contacted by the opposite? So the demons and the lower vibrational, you know, and if so, like, how do you manage that?
Yeah, I think through channeling, just the negative, feeling very negative, I have to make sure that when I'm channeling, I'm in a really good mindset, or I don't channel. I don't think I've channeled mediumship wise with a negative spirit, to be exact, because I'm still in my practice and I'm still learning how to use my gift. But back to the investigations, I've channeled with negative spirits. And my biggest thing I tell people is, when you're doing this kind of work, you cannot have any fear, because spirit will manipulate that fear. And that's when a spirit or a ghost or whatever would like to be a jokester or be negative. So I just put my shield on and I speak to it like I would with a human being, you know, like, do not come into my space. You're not welcome here unless you're going to be positive.
Is it like you can kind of feel it when somebody walks in a room and they're in a bad mood? You can tell them, right? So, you know,
yeah, and I hate
come back
that.
when you're in a good mood. Yeah, you can feel it. So the spirits could be the same. Is it? Do you think it's possible, or have you ever had a situation where the energy presented itself positive and you believe it to be angelic, but it really wasn't? Like a trickster?
Maybe.
All right, let's talk about that. What makes you think maybe? What happened then?
Well, no, that's just a really good question, because I haven't actually thought of it like that.
That's my job, to make you think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to make me go back to that one. That's for sure. Yeah, no,
it's a dangerous thing. Is it kind of what I'm leading up to? So like this,
totally
you
is.
have the ability to do this. It's coming to you. We're able to do it. I'm trying to understand, you know, what it is, or why it's happening and who it's happening to. But to interpret the positive and the negative, I'm finding that with a positive belief, you know, you can believe that it's, you know, that it's good when it's not really
100%.
Good. And it's hard because when you trust it, and as someone who's channeling, someone who has the ability to give that information out and give a reading, how do you trust that the response that, say, you're giving me, right? If you're channeling right now, how do you trust that you're giving me information that's truthful? And I'm not going to take that information and go do something that might end up being harmful, because you're channeling someone on, you know, that intends to do harm, but is cloaked as a positive, because we can do that in real life.
Yeah, 100%.
So do you have some buffers or some filters even when you go through that to challenge the spirits to validate that the information is authentic?
Not that I can say offhand, but it takes me back to the Bracebridge Library, because I did use mediumship there. And I was channeling a male that was very negative. And my aunt was channeling him too.
How did you know it was negative? Did it tell you it was negative, or did it feel negative?
It felt very dark, very negative. It's like, you know, when you're channeling something positive, you feel happy, you feel great, you feel motivated. But when you're entering a space that's not yours, it's an unwelcoming feeling. I felt with this male, I said to everyone, we're not supposed to be here. He is not happy that we're here, like, at all. He does not want us here. And my aunt was picking that up too. And it felt kind of intense. Right.
How did you feel before you went into that? Before that event happened, how was your day going that day?
Yeah. So beforehand, before we went, I actually felt really sick. So I was feeling really drained and very sick. And I'm like, oh man, maybe I'm channeling spirit, right? So I ended up turning on this different spirit box I have. It's called The Afterlife, made by Anthony Sanchez. And I'm like, okay, like, spirit, if you know we're coming. And it was like talking about books, you know, you're coming. And I'm like, okay. And then I got called the B word out loud. So I don't want to say it. So I'm like, okay, this is kind of negative. And I don't know if we're channeling with the library, but I'm already feeling a negative spirit. So we get there and I'm still feeling really nauseous. So I was really drawn to one of the ladies that had worked there, that wasn't staying for the investigation. And I pulled her aside and I did a reading on her. I was ending up channeling her loved ones, and we did the reading. It was great. And then after that, I didn't feel sick anymore. I felt like kind of relief. I'm like, okay, got that over with. I didn't know what I was walking into.
So you had some anxiety and you weren't feeling well. So the reason why I was asking that is to think of the possibility. Do you think maybe because you weren't feeling well and you went into there and you felt the energy, that it felt bad, not because it was bad itself, but perhaps you weren't feeling the best? And if that was the case, that makes it even harder for you to judge it, because they're not telling you one way or another. You're judging based on feeling, but we're not taking consideration on how you feel that day, which makes it really hard to interpret, right?
That's where it comes in when I say I can feel spirit at times. So sometimes that day before I do a reading, I can feel how their loved one passed. Sometimes it could be my leg might start being really tingly, or my kneecap might be in pain. So I'm like, okay, there's like, I'll connect with spirit like hours before the reading, like spirit's already channeling. So then I'm like, okay, there's something with the leg. So I'll validate, there was something with the leg, because spirit's showing me. Or spirit, if they had passed of cancer, they will show me how it felt, and then they will show me kind of where they passed of cancer, if it was chest, if it was head, if it was around the kidneys. So it's like I get these visions and images, but I can sense and feel how spirit passed. And that's how I was feeling in school, in middle school, in high school, not knowing I was channeling. Some of these students,
you didn't know what it was then, but then now that you've learned and researched it, you can imply that you were dealing with that your whole life, just not knowing.
Yeah, and let me tell you, I called home sick quite a bit, because I was feeling all sorts of different things, and I just didn't understand. I just thought there's something wrong with me at the time, but now I understand it, and now I know how to work with it, and I'm learning still how to work with those things, how to switch the switch on, switch the switch off. There could be times I'm in the grocery store and I'm sensing spirit, or if I'm out for dinner, and sometimes crowded places are really hard, and sometimes not. Sometimes it's just completely normal. But that's where I'm kind of learning how to be my own medium. Like, every medium's different. And I'm working on how to be me, how to be my own person and have this gift at the same time, and embrace it. And like I said, even still being a medium, I'm still skeptic sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, how the hell did I even know that? Like, you know what I mean? Was it a coincidence or what? You know?
There's a lot of people amongst our audience and that we investigate or on behalf as well that aren't even aware that they have these abilities until later on, and we kind of have to tell them that we suggest it and think it. But like living with it and adapting with it. I know you're doing research and stuff, but those are different. Those are other people's opinion based on what it's like for them. So like if I were to encourage anything, you would just kind of focus on what works for you, what feels good, what's right into the direction until you're comfortable with whatever it is you want to do. But by you talking about it, by sharing this experience, that helps people. You have so go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I have family who are Christians and Catholics and believe a lot in their faith, and me coming out with my gift, or hey, like, I'm doing paranormal investigations, it's so hard on me to express that to my family at times, because they don't understand, or because my grandmother always taught me growing up, we don't do that kind of stuff. So after she passed, I kind of opened it up more, was like, okay, Grandma, now the card's out, you know all about it. So it's tough, like, I'm still learning how to be open to the world about it. And I think that's where my pages come in. I created that TikTok account, and I have made so many friends who are paranormal investigators around the world, mediums, and being able to share experiences, it puts me in a comfort zone. it's definitely, like my article came out. A reporter found me and said, hey, like,
that's how we found you.
Yeah. And they're like, this is interesting because we don't hear enough about this stuff at all. And I'm like thinking that's kind of true. So putting it out there, I was really nervous. And
to find someone that was willing to write it and post on that is a feat of its own. To get someone to find an editor that will allow it to go. In ufology, like it's like pulling teeth and nails, whatever that expression is. It's really hard, tooth and nail, I think is it? Yeah, to get reporters to report on the UFO subject, but they're doing it now, but that's a long time coming.
Yeah, it was very nerve-wracking for me because
But you did it.
I'm not used to all the criticism yet. The skeptics, yes, that's okay. But I had to learn. I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to allow this because I almost said no. But I'm like, I need to challenge myself a little bit. I need to hear the criticism. I need to let them know that, hey, it's okay. Like, we don't know until we have our own experience. And it took me that.
Who's criticizing though, right? Like, I mean, because you can't criticize if they can't prove it not to be true. So if you 100%. Believe it to be spirit, if you believe it to be paranormal, if you believe it to be aliens, why I keep references back in that is because I'm always trying to show it's the same thing. It's us that think differently. But if we're challenging it and we're going to put somebody down when we can't prove it, it's no different. It's no different than anything else we dislike. So if you're able to embrace it and you feel good about it and you got people that are encouraging it, follow that to find yourself, follow the path based on whatever happens. Case in point, you did all these things that led up to it. A reporter found you. They wrote an article. We saw that. We found you. You're here. After this, someone might see you on here and then be like, boom, I want, so take those opportunities and just see where it goes. And that's how you'll find your true path. And people will gravitate towards the feeling. So if they, it doesn't matter what you say, in terms of whether it being right or wrong, it's the belief, it's how you're thinking about it, how they feel when they're interacting with you. All those things will determine your following, and then from there, you're helping people because you're sharing your experience. Other people listening are resonating. Some people are keeping it inside. Yeah. Right. So it's a very brave thing. So don't. You're being a little humble here, but you should. Should. It's a big step. You're doing great.
Yeah, it's definitely take me to a whole different level. That's for sure. And it's been interesting. It's been fun. I have more exciting things coming that I can't tell anybody yet.
Can you tease a little bit? Something? You hear it first on this podcast. What is it?
I can't say yet. But the other thing that I'm working on right now is a portal. So that could be a whole different podcast to come, where I want to channel people's loved ones through the portal. And that takes a lot of my energy, my light, spirit's energy, and do some connecting that nobody has ever seen before. And I have been doing it. I have been connecting through the portal with my spirit guides that come through, other people's loved ones that have come through. And it takes a lot of meditating. Let's just say that. So that's going to be pretty new this year.
That's good. I'm excited. I hope that let us know when that comes through, and then maybe we'll get you back on and we can talk about it and see how that was for you. In terms of energy, right? And I'm just curious to know methods maybe on how you're taking care of yourself. And what I mean by that is our understanding of this energy transfer. When we die, the energy goes, and then wherever this energy is, it comes to you, and you absorb the energy, and then you send these messages out. And you said many times that you feel exhausted, you feel drained, because you're absorbing the energy and you're expelling the energy. How do you recharge?
a good nap. That's for sure. I make sure that I stay healthy. That's number one. Stay healthy, meditate. It took for me to even do a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of self-healing from past trauma. Learning to love myself. There was a point in time I didn't love myself. I didn't love who I was. Had a hard time making friends because of who I am. Judgmental people.
Yeah.
Losing really good friends that I dearly love. So then I started working on myself. So I started getting crystals and saying, hey, if people are saying you can connect with crystals and the energy, I'm going to try it out. So started getting some crystals and making my atmosphere positive. And I teach my kids this stuff too. Like, they love this stuff, They'll pick a crystal at night to put under their pillow. And I'll explain the crystal a little bit for them to understand. And my son, William, he's 11. He likes to go on the investigations with me. And it's nice to show them,
That's
the
great,
stuff that I'm doing. Yeah.
That they're the next generation. I think that we're the transitional generation in terms of it's been covered up, but then now it's starting to come out, and then we got to help the next generation embrace it. So the fact is that you're showing it, and I encourage that too. We do have a training academy that's in development, and one of the projects that I wanted to work on top of that come from the idea of actually a cryptozoologist named Alex Mistretta, to also teach children, how to investigate and things like that too. So it gets carried into the next generation. So
yeah, I think that's great because the next generation is going to be a lot different than now. Like, I found when 2020 hit, the earth shifted. It like reincarnated somehow. Like,
lots going on. We're still in a retrograde, I think.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff going on. I'll be glad when that's done.
Me too.
Yeah.
We need more positive things, and that's another thing why I enjoy having fun with the stuff that I'm doing on my pages and TikTok, because I think the world just needs some enlightenment and some like cool things and some happiness, and it brings me joy. I always tell people, don't listen to the radio, don't watch the news, because if you do, you're going to live in fear. Live today, live for tomorrow, wake up and look at yourself and go, I'm alive, like I'm here, okay.
I wish I could be like that. I have to watch the news. I need to know what's going on so I know what's happening 10 moves ahead. But
that's okay. That's okay.
Someone has to do it. But,
yeah.
It drives me crazy though. It drives me nuts. But I mean, my wife doesn't. She can live free for all she wants to do, and I don't know how she does it.
Yeah.
But, nothing seems to bother her, which is good. It's strong. The women are strong. I'm finding that a lot of. Like the spiritual connection and this embracing and loving kindness, that femininity, that it's really related to these types of abilities. I do have talked to some people that have psychic abilities on the masculine side, but I mean, they have feminine characteristics. They're kind and they're passionate, and there's also these, but then you get these really aggressors. I haven't really found any aggressive females in ufology or paranormal studies, because I don't think that exists. That just must be a male thing in the ufology community. But it's interesting because I feel like there is two types of beings in existence. There's us, and then there's them. And those are the one. And it's just, but you have to play with them in order to get through this. But when we're connecting to loved ones on the other side, we also got to help them, Yeah. So like it's challenging. It's quite challenging because it's a service that gets zero recognition. So just if you haven't been told before, good job. Thank you for doing that on behalf of everyone else that you've assisted, and I hope you continue to do that because it's beneficial to create that environment where people know they're not alone.
Yeah.
Right. And even if you don't know who or what's behind it, you put that positive spin.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? And that's better than fear, because anything with fear, right? And we go back to your experience where you were not feeling well before you went to the library. There was a bit of a negative vibration. So that negative vibration was hard for you to get up if you already started that way. Maybe you weren't charged. There's a lot of things. You don't sleep well, you have a bad day. Things like that happen. So we be more mindful to things like that. Raise the vibration, everyone's more happier, then we can save the world. But it's not that easy. Exactly. It's not that easy though.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the way I look at it, I just go with the flow, you know. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me see. Go back to investigations, I guess. Sure. What would be your most compelling piece of evidence that you would be like, whatever you're explaining it to be, this is it. Look at this, you know?
Okay. 3 weeks ago, I went to my cousin's wedding. It was in Rockport, Ontario, just outside of Kingston, on the St. Lawrence River, the Boathouse Inn. So that's.
We had a picture there, right?
Church.
Yeah, this church one, this one? Is that Rockport? Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So that's my sister, Bree. She's pretty awesome. So we didn't know we were doing a paranormal investigation, like whatsoever. So we were going down to my cousin's wedding, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to bring some gear because you never know. So the moment we got in there, I was like feeling like this feels really cool. Like, there has to be spirit here. Like, I got some energy feels, like the vibes are good. So I said, how about, later on, we give it a go. Mm-hmm. So it was the night before the wedding. We decided to let everybody else do their thing. And we got out the gear and we went into the Boathouse Inn. So it's absolutely gorgeous. So I bring in my K2 meter. You might know what a K2 meter is.
I do.
Yeah, so I love my K2 meter because it's like the easiest thing to debunk, because it really, if you put a phone near it, all the lights are going to go off. So if you put it near no technology, no metal whatsoever, spirit can manipulate it. So
it's also very sensitive, though. It picks up a lot of bad noise. I wouldn't recommend it as being the best EMF tool.
Yeah.
But go on.
It's my new tool. I haven't had a whole lot of experience with it yet. So I'm like, okay, we're in here. It's quiet. I said to her, we're not really getting a whole lot because there's other people kind of walking around. I said, let's take it to the motel room and let's try it out. So we get in there, and I gave my sister's boyfriend my dowsing rods. It was his first time to use them, and I love my dowsing rods. So he's sitting on the bed, and I put one of these near him, and I put one near me and another one across the way. And like I said, here at home, they don't go off. My house is not haunted. So I was able to turn everything on, and I said, Spirit, like, if you're here, if there is a spirit here, can you make the one light up that's right over there beside me? Instantly, it just starts flashing, and then it stopped. I'm like, okay. And I said, are you upset with how loud people are in your space outside? It started to flash. So I'm like, okay, like, this is great. I said, if you're a male, can you light up the one over near John? Instantly started lighting up. I said, okay. And then the rods crossed, and he's like, holy crap, like, these are moving. So then I was asking other questions for a good 15 minutes, and Spirit was answering with these lights. So I was like, okay, this is great. My mom was 2 doors down, and I went over and seen her, and I showed her a video on my phone. I said, Mom, check this out. I said, like, this is kind of creepy, right? And so I'm showing her the video, and I'm like, there's something behind me. Like, what the hell? So I turn over, and her ceiling fan starts to move. And then it starts to go a little faster. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? She's like, Sarah, get out of here because you're bringing spirit in my room and you're freaking me out right now. So I start laughing and I leave the room. She's like, not even 10 seconds after you left, it stopped. It completely stopped moving. So I said to my sister, I'm like, I think we brought spirit from the building to the motel, followed me to my mom's room, went back, and we did some more investigating. So then the following night, after the wedding, after the dinner, it got dark, and I said, let's get out the spirit box and let's just start communicating with spirit, and we'll bring these lights because they seem to like them. So my sister starts videotaping with her phone, and I'm like, spirit, you know, like there's a ball right there. There's one right there. You're welcome to just tap on them. They'll light up. They won't harm you in any way. And so instantly it went off. I'm like, okay, so it stopped. So I said, spirit, do you know who we are? Can you tell us our names? Well, the spirit box said John and Bree, and they jumped 10 feet in the air. We're like, okay, oh my God, that was not weird or anything. And then I was like, okay, thanks for the validation. And then the ball kind of lit up again as a you're welcome. So we kind of had fun with that, but we didn't do it for a long period of time in both nights because I didn't want to disrespect any spirit that we were channeling if we were. And I felt real at peace with the energy. It was almost like, this is my space. I'm taking care of it. And I just want people to respect it. Mm-hmm. And so those were the questions we were asking for them to light up and manipulate. And it felt great. So the first night we go to bed and I said, oh my God, I can barely breathe. I'm like, I feel like something's on top of me and I'm breathing in hot air. And my sister's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. I said, I don't know. I'm feeling some weird energy right now. And I've never felt this before. Like, this is weird. And so I got up, moved around, laid back down, and then I got freezing cold. Like, I was frozen. And I'm like, I'm freezing cold. Like, I'm frozen. Like, I can't even move. I'm so cold. And I said, there's something by that bathroom door because I feel something staring at me. Just that feeling when you know that there's something looking at you, right? Instantly, the bathroom door closes. So we were like, okay, spirit, we're going to bed, so you have to let us go to sleep. So I respect you. Please respect my space. I'm really happy that you're happy that you were able to connect with us if this was your first time. And I will make sure that the audience outside and around know to respect your space. Mm-hmm. And we just left it at that. And that was probably the most haunted location I have ever investigated. And I want to go back. It was just like, we tried to debunk things and you just could not. Like, it was awesome.
It's interesting, especially when you get that immediate validation, right? Like, do this and then that happens.
Yeah.
Thought comes to mind too, to put the shoe back onto the human element. When you ask for it to turn on, in that moment while you're waiting for it to turn on, how long does that take between, like, in seconds?
Sometimes it would take 10 seconds. Sometimes it would take immediately.
And then during that 10 seconds, what are you thinking about?
I'm just kind of looking at it and saying, you're welcome to touch the ball if you like. Mm-hmm. It's not going to harm you. So I kind of just...
And do you want it to turn on?
Well, yeah.
Right. Is it possible that when you put that intention out there and you're sitting there thinking about it, that when it
Maybe.
Turned on, it was you?
I mean, if that's the case, I am powerful.
Have you ever tested yourself trying to turn the object on?
No.
Try it and let me know if it works. All right?
Okay.
Because if you can do that, then that I just prove, then it's you. No ghosts, right?
I would be like, come on over to my house. I'll make things move. That would be pretty cool.
It's easier to explain. It's easier to explain if it's us, right? And that's the whole part
100%.
of understanding it. We get into media, we get into propaganda, we get into like UFOs. Like you calling a UFO a machine and a light, that's exactly what it is. That's what it's supposed to be. It's a machine. It's government. It's garbage. It's not aliens. It's something else. But the extraterrestrial and these light orbs, that's more on the paranormal things and the psychic phenomenon. But that still connects us to human beings being more evolved and connected to what we call the ultra spectrum, this other place. But we don't give ourselves enough credit, like to be the people behind it. It also doesn't help that I've finished watching Stranger Things season 4, so I'm totally.
I have to start that.
I'm
season
totally,
3 totally freaked me right
totally
out. I'm like,
waiting for July 1st, so the next episodes come out. Like it's a good season. It's good.
That's awesome.
All right, so we have one more segment. I'm not quite sure how long it will go. It'll be interesting because it'd be completely left field with the conversation we're having here. But before I do that, tell everybody again how they can find you, where they can, we do have links in the description, but if there's anything else going on, what's the best way to get a hold of you if they're local in the area or whatever they want to do and follow you from here?
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys are interested, on Facebook, I'm under Keeping Up with Spirits. I have 2 different pages. I have a closed group and an open group. I advise that you add yourself to the closed group that's not open yet because I do share more stuff on there. And I'm going to start doing lives at cemeteries as well, and we do raffles. Sometimes the raffles might be a free reading or come to an investigation, or maybe you'll win a set of dowsing rods or something. So I like to do it once in a blue moon. And I'm also under Keeping Up with Spirits on TikTok and Instagram. I just started an Instagram. I do have a YouTube channel that I've started. So all under Keeping Up with Spirits. So you're
well on your way.
Yeah.
So I just thought of something else that I wanted to ask you about the cemeteries.
Sure.
So you like going in cemeteries to do? Why do you like cemeteries?
I know people would think it's like spooky and creepy, but I actually find it very peaceful. I think that's because of visiting my grandmother at the cemetery. I feel at peace. It's not a creepy thing. There's not always just spirits roaming around a cemetery. But I do like to bring my rods there, the spirit box, and I like to sit and get validation and just be friendly. And I like to bring triggered items. I think it's just if you want to be outside and do investigations when you live in a very busy town, it's like the perfect location to do something like that.
For me, it's a perfect place for a baseline to test your equipment because there's no power lines underneath. There's no running water underneath.
Yeah, and I've had the balls go off there too.
I'm not so convinced that cemeteries is a place where spirit would be, because if energy left the body, it would stay where it was when it died, not transfer with the body. But again, I find it very unlikely that cemeteries would actually possess the energy, but then again, can't prove that. That's a theory of my own. So I've always used cemeteries in a belief that if I'm going to test equipment off the grid, if you will, to see how they operate normally, that would be a good place to do that.
Yeah, 100%.
With your dowsing rods too, how do you know? Do you ever check to see if there's any running water underneath where you are? Because you were using your dowsing rods at Rockport, but that's on the at the boathouse. There's water nearby, so how do you know?
It's great for that. I use them for yes and no questions, and sometimes like they will not work for me at all unless I am connecting with spirit or I have somebody hold them who wants to connect with their loved ones. But yeah, they do work for water witching, they would say. I'll show you guys my LED dowsing rods.
Okay.
These are really, really cool. These ones are huge. So I like to use these on nighttime investigations. They're a lot of fun. I find they move a little bit more, like they swing a little bit more. So it's interesting when they're staying still.
Are they battery powered?
Yeah,
okay.
These ones are.
Are there magnets inside of them, inside the batteries, in the housing?
Good.
I'd be just worried about them pulling to each other. That's all.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I had those handcrafted from a paranormal shop in Ohio, and they are under NCPD. So they have some great trigger wires I want to get.
There's not any Canadian suppliers for this equipment. Like we have to buy from America. I do notice that to get the good stuff.
I was talking to Go Stop the other day, and I was like messaging with them, and I said, it'd make it a lot easier if you guys opened up a shop in Canada or changed your shipping. I said, because when I'm ordering something that's $200, it's $50 maybe for the shipping and tax, and then for
customs. You got customs too.
Exactly. And then having the guy deliver, it's like sometimes an extra $40 to $100. And so the next day they changed the shipping for Canada and made it a hell of a lot easier. So I'm like, freaking right. They heard me.
I think it's Paul. Is that the guy? I've been trying to get him to. We have a store too. I was trying to see if I can be a distributor for them, but that's neither here nor there. And that's cool. You're hearing that for the first time too, CC. Sorry, forget to tell you. That's something I'm working on. But so we have them listed on our new website as affiliates too. So there's also a UFO stop, which they sell the same equipment for UFO stuff. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah. So cool. Good job. All right. So let's do our final segment, and then we'll do our after chat and we'll call it a night. So this is Sorry, Not Sorry. All right, so I ask everybody on the show this question, and it's just to prove the point that we're never on the same page. And the one thing that we should know definitively and believe we never have the same answer. So I'm going to ask you one question, and then I'll see how long it takes you to answer it. Do you accept the challenge?
Sure.
Okay, with all the knowledge and experience that you've consumed in your lifetime, what shape do you believe that the Earth is in?
Sorry, you were kind of breaking up there. Can you repeat that?
With all the knowledge that you have and experience, what shape is the Earth?
Round.
Okay. You had to think about that. Why'd you have to think about that?
Because I'm going to tell you something right now. Everything on TikTok right now is the Earth is not flat. It's round. So I'm like, and then I'm listening to reasons of why, and I'm like, really and truly, how would we even know? It's so huge. Do we actually know if it's flat or if it's round?
Not well, scientists do, but do we believe the scientists that they say ghosts aren't real? Do we believe the scientists that say aliens aren't real? So the whole point of asking this question throughout the whole season is to show that we get a variance of different people who hesitate and think about the one thing that we should be confident about, and we're not. So if we can't even be definitive on what shape the Earth is, then it's possible for aliens and ghosts to exist and all these other things in between.
So true.
Right? So you can't say it doesn't exist. It has to all exist or none of it exists. And these are people trying to understand, a different part of it, but still trying to answer questions that don't make sense to them. And the only way we can validate that and that part, of course, without believing the science, is to be astronauts and go to space ourselves. But we can't do that in our lifetime. But if we accept the fact that we're not astronauts and we're not able to go to space, why do we not trust the government to tell us that that's the truth?
Yeah, 100%.
Space Cadet 8, thank you so much for becoming a new YouTube member. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun.
Yeah, that was great. No, it's good. Thank you. You can come back, talk to CC and admin, and Well, I don't know. There's lots of things. So I think Cece will do a follow-up with you afterwards and let you know what other things Tessa has to offer. And if any of those things fit your jam, then, we could be seeing each other again soon.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. Anything else for our members? You want to tell them again where to find you? Keeping with the Spirits?
Keeping Up with Spirits, TikTok or Facebook. And you're welcome to reach out to me on Messenger or keepingupwithspirits@gmail.com.
Perfect. Everybody stick around for the after chat where we're going to talk to the people in the comments and talk about what's new for Tessa and all these other things too. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully we see you in the YouTube chat as well. And we'll see you next week.
Sounds great.
That's it, everybody. That is a wrap. That is the end of it all. Thank you for joining me tonight. I look forward to seeing you back next week, where we'll continue to have this conversation deep down into the rabbit hole in which we call the Ultra Spectrum. Thanks for joining us. I said that already. Oh well, fuck it. Feed the world.
All right. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
It always throws me on the other side. I'm just like, no, I'm good. That was good. That was great. Welcome to the after chat, everybody. I'm here with Cece. Why are you always laughing in the background when I say things? It makes me feel like I've said things wrong. I just see you losing it back there, and I'm like,
I'm enjoying the show.
Oh, okay. All right, good. I'm just a funny guy then, I guess.
Yes.
So I tried something different. Well, comments came up, I starred them. So that way, and I also starred the comments of the people that chimed in so I could say hello to everybody once. So we're going to try this. So hello, Cece. Hello, Anonymous Rex. Hello, Dave Petrella. Sorry. Hello, Patricia Fernier.